y'all, it's Brandon with Voodoo Forge, and I have a couple of small swedge blocks that I need to find a way to kind of contain on the small anvils, so when students are using them, they don't go off of the anvil. So that's what I'm doing in this video. Let's get on it. Here they are. They're little 5" by 5" 1.5" thick swedge blocks. They weigh, I don't know, about 8 pounds, so they're not super heavy. And these are made by Oak Lawn Blacksmith. He has them available on Etsy and Facebook. But anyway, they're fairly inexpensive and they've got a lot of good shapes. Now, you should be able to use them laying on an anvil like this and setting them up like this lightly. But I got these specifically for students to use, and now that I have these anvils for students to use, I want them to be able to use them without them sliding around, and I want to be able to find a way to lock them in a standing position, because the way these come out of the mold, you can barely see it. They kind of like, they taper towards that side all the way around, like it tapers this way. So they don't sit completely flat. It's got a little bit of a lean to it. So we want to find a way to lock those where they can be used on their side and not hit super hard, because you don't hit things on the swedge block super hard. Well, okay, sometimes you do, but you're not going to on these. But I don't want them to fall over and fall on somebody's foot. So I've got a plan. It's a plan. I got this 2" by 2" angle iron, and I'm going to cut it into 45s, big enough to make little boxes that our swedge blocks will be able to fit in. I'll be able to lock them in that way too, and I'm going to fabricate all that up and put a little stop on it so we can put it in the hardies on those anvils. So first we got to cut a lot of pieces with 45s. That looks like it's cutting crooked. I don't like that. Yeah, that's right. It's not cutting straight. And now what I want to do is I want to take 3 of these and cut a little bit, maybe, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch off of each of them. And it'll work out. It'll be fine. Well, this is going to take 1,000 years. This is taking forever. Okay, so a month and a half later, I got all those cut down. My 2 pieces I did not cut down. I'm going to cut a little notch out for our shaft that goes into the anvils. This should just help with a little more solid weld. I've got the shaft in my little welding vise here and got this piece where I notched it out sitting level around it, so I'm going to tack it on real quick. Ugh, a little gross. I'm just going to make sure this is level in one of the little vices real quick. Fits in there nice and snug, so we're going to burn her in there. There it goes. I don't know how deep that went. Problem number 1 that I created for myself. When I welded this on without having the squares welded up, it makes it really difficult to assemble the square with that on there. But fortunately, I have this leaf on my welding table, so I just open the gap and put it down in there. Now, problem two I created for myself. I believe when cutting the second half of my 45 on my bandsaw, where I pointed out, that doesn't look like that's cutting 45 degrees. I believe where I had to put it in the saw like this, instead of this, it cocked it over a little bit, and so yeah. At least half of every one of my cuts is jacked up, and I know I also need to sit down and tune my bandsaw, or probably should have just used my chop saw. Anyway, it's my doing. It's a problem I created, but we can make it work. We can make it work. Let's see how this fits in here. That's the main thing. That fits in there. So I'm just going to kind of tap everything together and then figure out how I'm going to fill it all in. Good times. Oh, that's terrible. It is so bad. It is. Okay, remember, we can always grind. As we're going to be. After grinding these spot welds out, I can grind a lot further in here than I thought I could. So I'm gonna just run these out a little further. And there we have it, 2 finished little swedge block holders. And these may or may not be necessary. The main thing is this will keep them from falling off the anvil and onto somebody's foot when they're doing something. Specifically students. I love students, but they don't know what they're doing. That's why they're students. That's not a bad thing, because they're learning. So this will help keep them in place. But the coolest feature, I let this side long so we can lock them into an upright position. so that they can be used on any of the sides, and you really won't have to worry about it going anywhere. Well, y'all, as per usual, learn from my mistakes. Now, these little switch blocks, these are made Oak Lawn Blacksmith. I think I said that earlier. These are American made. A fellow by the name of Andrew makes them. I got them last year. I will link his Etsy. I think that's the easiest way to get them from him. But he teaches art here in Middle Tennessee, but he's from I don't where they don't have sweet tea somewhere. I don't know exactly, but he has these made up there, and like I said, they're American made. They're Dulcilite iron. They're real good. They're not very big, but if you don't have a switch block, these can change your life. So I get nothing from this. I'll give you his Etsy in the description. If you are looking for one, they're very reasonably priced, and they're super handy to have in the shop. So give him a holler. Anyway, I hope y'all got something out of this, and y'all behave yourselves.